Hi lingerie lovers, I'm Sammi Cole, and on this week's Undie Mondays, I'm talking about men wearing women's lingerie, why people do it, and how you can bring up trying this with your partner. Now before I go into why some men enjoy wearing women's underwear in the bedroom, there are a few distinctions that I have to make, particularly when it comes to clothing, gender identity, and sexual fetishism. Today I'm not really discussing drag artists or transgender people, slightly touching on the subject of cross-dressing, but this is mainly going to be about transvestites. But what do I mean by transvestites? Well, here are some dictionary definitions to help you get your head around what all of that means. Now, transvestite is usually used to refer to men who wear clothing that's often worn by women as part of a sexual kink or thrill. Some transvestites also wear items of clothing traditionally considered women's garments because it's an act of social defiance. Cross-dressing is a much broader term used to apply to anybody who regularly wears clothes that are more often associated with the opposite gender. Unlike transvestism, cross-dressing isn't necessarily about a sexual thrill. Sometimes it's as simple as just a fashion thing, or sometimes it can be a social statement, or it can simply be because they prefer that style of clothing. Now, as anyone who's been watching the latest season of RuPaul's Drag Race will know, drag is generally referred to an entertainer who dresses up in clothes more often associated with another gender. For example, drag queens are normally men dressed as women, and drag kings are women dressed as men. It's much more about an artistic expression and a form of entertainment than it is any sexual or personal preference. And then there's the term transgender, which you may have seen quite a lot in the headlines recently. Whereas the other three choices I've spoken about generally refer to fashion choices or sexual preference in the bedroom, transgender people are people that find that the gender they identify most closely with isn't necessarily the sex that they were assigned with at birth. There are many different nuances within the transgender world, which I won't go into today, but it's generally a much more complex issue than simply wearing the clothes of another gender because you like the way they feel. So why do some men enjoy wearing women's underwear in the bedroom? If you speak to any man who enjoys this, you will find that there are a ton of reasons that differ from person to person, but there are a few key ones that tend to crop up time and time again. First one is that women's lingerie in general is made of much more sensual fabrics than men's. If you think of men's sexy underwear in general, you're probably thinking of black boxer shorts, glossy thongs worn by strippers, or even those satin boxers with the heart prints on them. Whereas for women, you've got a whole host of different fabrics and textures that you just don't get in men's lingerie, or certainly not as commonly. Another reason is that there's a kinky aspect to it, so it's something that people feel like they shouldn't be doing. Just as with many kinks and fantasies, many men find that it comes from this place of having something secret that no one knows that you're doing, and that is a thrill enough in itself. Plus, obviously, there's a sexy association with certain styles of lingerie, so why shouldn't men be able to investigate that as well? There are also some instances in BDSM relationships where a submissive man is often made to wear women's underwear by his dominant. It's known as sissy play, and it feeds into the whole humiliation aspect, which is very popular in certain areas of the BDSM world. But I should make this very, very clear, just because a man wants to wear sexy underwear in the bedroom does not necessarily mean that he is gay. Just like a man who enjoys anal stimulation doesn't necessarily want to go and have sex with other men, wearing women's underwear doesn't necessarily mean that they want to go and have sex with other men, or that they want to be another gender. It's a simple sensation in most cases. Because gender labels and gender identity have become much more fluid in recent years, we're starting to see a big increase in the number of men looking to explore the world of sexy women's lingerie. Whether you're someone who's just thinking about trying it out or someone who's been doing it secretly for years and now wants to explore it with your partner, it can be tricky knowing exactly how to bring it up. Many men are worried that it might make their partner think differently of them, or they might laugh, and that can be quite off-putting when it comes to announcing something as personal as your lingerie preference. The thing to remember though, that if your partner loves and cares for you, it ultimately shouldn't make any difference to how they view you. Sure, if they didn't see this coming at all, it might come a bit out of left field and they might be surprised for a while, but I'm sure you'll find that they will come round to it in the end. It's all really a matter of how you pitch it to them. There's a few things I would advise against doing if you do want to bring this up with your partner, and the biggest thing I would say is do not surprise them. You know, don't just walk into the bedroom one night in a head-to-toe corset, heels, suspenders, knickers. If they haven't seen anything like that before, it's going to surprise them. And unfortunately, a natural reaction to being surprised is laughter. So if you're scared that they will laugh at you, that's not the way to go about it. Similarly, I've seen people recommend that you take a sexy photo of yourself in your lingerie and accidentally leave it lying around for your partner to find. The thing with that is because you're pitching it as an accident, it seems like you were intentionally trying to keep it from them rather than then sharing it with them. So what you're doing is creating this sense of shame around the exact thing that you're trying not to make shameful in the first place. If that makes sense. If you're not sure how your partner would react at all, why not test the water by watching a TV show or a movie where there's a main character that enjoys wearing women's lingerie? A main male character, I should say. While you're watching, it gives you the chance to casually start a conversation about what it would be like to try something like that. And if during that discussion your partner seems favourable, then you know you've got the green light to discuss it in more depth. If they still don't seem favourable, the next step is really to start trying to educate them in why people do this. Many reasons that people don't necessarily want to try something is because they don't know very much about it, so by giving your partner that information, you're opening up their mind to a world of new opportunities. Alternatively, rather than going straight in with some underwear that is designed for women, get yourself some sexy underwear for men that looks and feels much like women's lingerie. For example, something like our LHM boxes are great because, like you can see, they're cut in a traditional man's style, so they're not going to be too much of a shock for your partner to see. They're skin tight, so they show off your figure like women's lingerie does. And they've got these really soft sheer panels, so you get to show off a little bit of something extra that you wouldn't get with normal lingerie. If your partner likes those, you can slowly start introducing more and more adventurous styles into your bedroom play. And thirdly, nothing beats a good, honest conversation. Sit down somewhere privately with your partner, away from distractions, and explain to them that this is something that you like to do and you'd love to be able to explore it further with them. Explain to them your reasons for doing it and reassure them that it doesn't mean that anything in your relationship has changed or that your feelings are any different towards them. It's also a really good point to reiterate the fact that you already enjoy your sex life with them. This is just something that it might be fun to explore together. Being open is the only way to break down these stigmas, which at the end of the day are just based on what shape a piece of fabric is that you put on your body. Also, if you do occasionally nab their underwear when they're not there and wear it, I probably wouldn't lead with that information. If you make sure you have your own collection of lingerie, it means that your partner won't feel that you've been taking theirs. Or the other option is just show them this video. And ladies, if your boyfriend has pointed you here, it means he wants to try wearing knickers in the bedroom. And why not give it a go? You might like it. So there you go, that's a bit more on the why and how of why men wear women's lingerie in the bedroom sometimes. If you have any questions or any other tips for anyone looking to try this, do pop them in the comments below. If you enjoyed what you saw, click subscribe on the Lovehoney heart in the corner to see me every week with a brand new Undie Mondays. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week with a brand new video.